Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, it has been a couple of weeks since I've been able to get a video up. I forgot my office chair creaks. A little change in scenery. We're moving things around in the process of doing some work on the house. And previously I'd been down in our living room, and I've decided to move up here into my office, which we've kind of rearranged as well. But actually it's way simpler to do these here because I don't have to worry about taking everything down if we're having people over. Whereas right here, I can keep this set up pretty much the way it is and sit down and talk and record. Before I get into what I was going to talk about today, just this morning, because we had that nationally prominent criminal murder case in South Carolina, where an attorney was convicted of killing his loved ones. I just don't understand that kind of thing. I mean, I really don't. He's smart enough to be an attorney, but not smart enough to figure out that you're really probably not going to get away with that. But I saw a post on social media, on the professional social media site, by somebody who said he's going to get found innocent because all of the evidence is circumstantial. And that's interesting because it seems like there's a real misunderstanding of circumstantial evidence. It turns out many, if not most, criminal cases are convicted on circumstantial evidence. I mean, if you leave a fingerprint somewhere where a murder occurred, that shows you were there, but that is circumstantial evidence. I mean, direct evidence would be there was a surveillance camera and they saw you do it. So just because it's circumstantial evidence does not mean that you can't convict somebody. And part of my job, I know a fair number of lawyers. I've done their headshots, so I kind of absorb stuff. That's why Beth calls me the sponge. So, as I mentioned in my last video, it was going to be pretty busy. We had corporate headshots to do. Essentially what we did was we collaborated with a shared office space. And this is the second one of these spaces that I've done this with, where we collaborated and we did an afternoon of headshots for their tenants in the shared office space. So it's kind of cool because I can offer the headshots at a really pretty significant discount over if you have me do a one-off, and then people get to do that. And both days they had kind of a happy hour at the end of the day, which we were invited to, so that was cool. And I was assisted by my friend, colleague, I call him mentor, he says don't do that, Howard Simmons. Put up a video a long time ago about Howard. I'll put a link to that at the end. But I've known Howard since we moved here into our current house in Oak Park. In fact, he was our neighbor 2 doors down until he and his wife sold their house a few years back and moved into a condo. And he says he loves condo living. Howard and I kind of have a deal going where if he has a shoot and he needs an assistant, I assist him. And if I have shoots, he assists me. We pay each other. So it's kind of cool because that way if one of us has got stuff going on, the other doesn't, the other can still make a little bit of money. And while I'm on that subject, assistance, if you want to assist a photographer, my advice is don't contact a photographer and say you're going to do it for free. I mean, I pay Howard, and Howard is well worth what I pay him because I know he knows his stuff. And Howard is a great second pair of eyes. Sometimes he'll see something on a subject that I didn't see. So it's really good to have 2 people. If you're interested in assisting, I would say the thing to do is, first of all, have a portfolio ready to go. Show that you know photography and you know what you're doing. And also, guys like me, sole practitioners as it would be, are probably not anyone who's going to want to hire you as an assistant right away, because we don't have the time to train people. And you can say you are all, great, you do what you're told and all this stuff. But with Howard, I know what I'm getting, and I'm going to pay him. The other thing is, don't offer to do it for free. Don't give stuff away. If a photographer suddenly starts using you for free when they were paying somebody, that's, you're taking an income away from somebody. Contact larger studios. I mean, they may have a program. They may be willing to take you on and have you do an internship. Guys like me and Howard, we just don't have time to do that. So anyway, that's enough about that. Anyway, but in the process of doing these headshots, I noticed something, and I'm going to show some shots. We were checking the lights. Howard was acting as the model, and just checking the lights. And generally, what I do is I use a key light and a big hybrid softbox umbrella. I'll have a reflector either down here or down below or opposite the light, depending on what it is. Usually, I try. The easiest thing to do is actually have the light in one place, which, if you're lighting it mostly from the front, that's going to work for both men and women. You can push it over to the side for men to get a more rugged look. And then we have that reflector. We didn't have a lot of space this time, so what I did was I took a Godox 685, TT6850, which is for Olympus, but Panasonic uses the same flash system. And we didn't have a lot of space for a reflector, and so I took a TT685 and stuck it into this little softbox and stuck it right down here. It actually worked pretty well. We did at one place kind of put a reflector on a chair. We didn't have a room for a stand and a boom. But the other thing that I noticed is I usually use a light on the backdrop, and again, I'll use a TT685 with one of those knockoff Stofen. I should probably go get that. Anyway, what I did was I used a TT685 behind the subject with one of these. This is a knockoff. I think it's a ProMaster Stofen diffuser. And it pops light behind. You have a little bit of fall off, so it's kind of nice if you want that vignetting. But what I noticed was, as we were setting up the lights and I saved the images with Howard, was that I'm not sure I need to use a backdrop light. And the less you have to carry when you go on location, the better it is. Because now with Lightroom's masking tools, and they have one of the masking, it's artificial intelligence masking. So you can click on masking, you can click on background, and it'll find the background. And so playing around with it, I discovered if you want to make the background completely white, you can. If you want to make the background completely black, you can. So, I mean, here's a picture of Howard. This was the first one we had the flash going. I adjusted it up somewhat after this, but I used this image just to show kind of a little bit about, it was sort of would look like without a flash back there. And then in this next one, I did the AI background masking, slid everything over to the right, and wow, white background. And then I thought, whenever it works for black, did it again, slid everything over to the left, black background. So when you're doing this sort of thing, the less you have to carry, the better. So I may just stop using the backdrop light and just adjust that background. And by the way, when you're in Lightroom and you do the masking, the AI masking on one image in the develop module, and then you select all the images that you're working on. So let's just say you have 10 headshot images. You can sync those, and you can sync the AI masks. It'll sync them right over. You want to probably check them just to make sure it did it right. But what I discovered was, if you wanted that background, even after I had that light turned up a bit, I still wanted it a little brighter. So I just did that on one image, synced the rest of the images of that particular individual, and boom, it was done. So things have gotten a lot easier these days, which is really cool. Anyway, that's it for today. Just some little observations. I got some other stuff I'm working on. We are waiting right now. I got to spray some WD-40 on this chair. we're waiting right now on a snowstorm, and it's gone from 4 to 8 inches of heavy wet snow, and now it appears that the storm has tracked south. So we are maybe going to get 4 inches max, and that's fine by me because the snowblower stopped working a few years back, and I haven't bothered to get it fixed. Just need the exercise. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you next time.